During World War II, the first nuclear bomb was dropped. Since then, there have been significant changes in human behavior. In order for nuclear bombs to work, atoms must be broken up and then put back together again. The little boy and fat man bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945 did a lot of damage. A huge number of people were hurt or killed. These bombs left deep scars in politics and in people's minds. During the Cold War, there was a race to make nuclear bombs. Deals were finally made between countries to stop the spread of nuclear weapons. Scientists felt terrible sorrow when they saw how much damage the atomic bombs did. We will talk about nuclear bombs today from the viewpoint of science, history, and people. These awful weapons have sad stories behind them. They have killed people, and we will look at what we can learn from that. Atomic bombs are explosives that can turn very little mass into a lot of energy. They are very dangerous weapons, and the spread of them is a major problem in ties between countries. In the years since Hiroshima and Nagasaki, nuclear bombs have been tested and shown off more than 2,000 times. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT, is an agreement that was made to stop these weapons from getting to more countries. Nukes come in two types, fission weapons and fusion weapons. Both fission and fusion weapons use fission reactions to start nuclear fusion reactions. Fusion weapons use fission reactions to get power. In fission bombs, supercritical materials are pushed into fissile materials. This makes it possible for nuclear chain reactions to grow at an exponential rate. This type of chemical is most often uranium-235 and plutonium-239. The power for thermonuclear weapons, which are also known as hydrogen bombs, comes from the fusion of different kinds of hydrogen. The new bombs are harder to make than older nuclear weapons, but they work better. Radiation heats and squeezes fusion fuel in the Teller-Ulam system for hydrogen bombs. This makes neutrons move very quickly, which can split things that don't usually split. They don't make fission products, but fusion processes can still release at least as much nuclear fallout as fission-only bombs. Radioactive fallout from high-yield atomic blasts can reach a long way away and contaminate areas that are not near the target. Nuclear weapons include improved fission weapons, neutron bombs, salted bombs, nuclear-pumped lasers, nuclear electromagnetic pulses, and pure fusion bombs. Using fusion processes, boosted fission weapons make more explosives, and salted bombs leave behind nuclear waste that lasts for a long time. Researchers who work on nuclear-pumped lasers have not yet made a weapon that can be used. Nuclear weapons can send out electromagnetic pulses that can damage technology and mess up both military and civilian systems. Pure fusion bombs could make it easy to make atomic weapons, but no good plan has been made yet. Some people think that nuclear isomers, which are natural isotopes, could be the cause of fissionless fusion bombs. Certain types of antimatter have been thought to have the ability to set off nuclear bombs, but it's not easy to make a lot of antimatter, so most likely only the military will be able to do it, such as the Soviet OTR-21 Toshka rocket. Tactical nuclear weapons are not meant to be strategic. For them to work, they need plutonium fuel and strict safety rules. Fighter planes, missiles, and submarines can all be shot down with these tools. When designing and planning nuclear attacks, the way the bombs are delivered is very important. Dropping gravity bombs from planes is the easiest way to do it, but it limits the attack's range and reaction time. Due to miniaturization, strategic bombers and tactical fighter bombers can carry nuclear bombs. Successful attacks are likely to come from long-range intercontinental ballistic missiles and ballistic missiles fired from submarines. Scientists have also made tactical weapons like nuclear depth charges, artillery shells, landmines, gravity bombs, and rockets. Strategy for nuclear warfare is a set of rules for avoiding or fighting a nuclear war. As a nuclear deterrence policy, the goal is to keep a second strike option available and maybe even try to get first strike status. Theorists of military and politics made game theory models to stop nuclear attacks during the Cold War. Nuclear strategies can include hiding where weapons are located, keeping them safe, using missile defenses, and putting in place measures for public defense. Neighbors would be wiped out in a nuclear war, say critics, but the International Court of Justice has called such weapons useless in today's military environment. Since they were first used during the Cold War, Ballistic missile ships have been very important for military planning for the US, Russia, and other nuclear powers. The possibility of terrorists with nuclear weapons committing suicide makes decisions harder, and we need a new nuclear policy. Regarding the success of any mission or operation, the Pentagon's Doctrine for Joint Nuclear Operations stresses the need to use nuclear weapons, along with regular and special operations troops. The International Atomic Energy Agency was created in 1957 to support the development of peaceful nuclear technology and stop the spread of nuclear weapons. In 1955, the Russell-Einstein Manifesto warned of the dangers of nuclear weapons and asked for peaceful answers. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons and the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty both tried to stop the spread of nuclear weapons and improve the environment. All nuclear tests are banned by the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Other treaties like SALT II, START I, INF, START II, SORT, and New START have controlled the US and Soviet Union's nuclear weapon stocks. Nuclear weapon-free zones have also been set up which make it illegal to make or use nuclear weapons. In 1996, the International Court of Justice said that nuclear weapons were against international law. The International Committee of the Red Cross also wants them to be banned. As of 2017, 122 countries in the Global South had signed the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Nuclear disarmament means reducing or getting rid of nuclear weapons. A world without nuclear weapons is the goal of nuclear disarmament. Stockpiles of nuclear weapons have gone down since the end of the Cold War in 1991. Only South Africa has given up all of its nuclear weapons. Some people say that getting rid of nuclear weapons would make nuclear war less likely, while others say it would hurt nuclear peace and security. Over 90% of the world's 13,865 nuclear weapons were owned by Russia and the US as of early 2019. The UN Office for Disarmament Affairs works to get rid of nuclear weapons and stop the spread of nuclear weapons. It also supports attempts to get rid of conventional weapons. There's been a discussion about nuclear weapons and their use for decades. Scientists who worked on the Manhattan Project had different ideas about how the two atomic bombings of Japan led to Japan's surrender and what the US's moral justification was for them. From 1945 to 1980, more than 2,000 nuclear tests were done around the world, and the toxic fallout caused a lot of worry. As people became more aware of the health risks of being exposed to nuclear waste, studies were done to find out how bad the risk really is. The US is the only country that pays people who were hurt in nuclear tests. Since the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act of 1990, over $1.38 billion has been given in compensation. Nuclear explosions can be very bad for people's health. It is thought that a nuclear war with 100 Hiroshima-sized explosions in towns could kill tens of millions of people over time because of the long-term effects on the climate. According to a theory in climatology, if every city experiences a wildfire, the release of soot into the air could block the sun for years, disrupting food chains and leading to a nuclear winter. People who were close to the Hiroshima bombing and those who lived through it had a range of medical effects, such as early, middle, late, and delayed effects. Being exposed to ionizing radiation can make you more likely to get cancer. A small nuclear battle between India and Pakistan could start a nuclear winter that would kill more than 1 billion people. Many people have expressed their opposition to nuclear weapons. For example, in the 1980s, there were protests and rallies against nuclear testing. The United States spent $11.3 trillion on nuclear weapons projects from 1940 to 1996. Of that amount, 57% went to delivery systems, 6.3% to cleaning up the environment, and 7% to making weapons. In the 1960s and 1970s, both the US and the Soviet Union set off peaceful nuclear bombs for non-military reasons, such as economic growth. All nuclear blasts are illegal under the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Peaceful nuclear explosions, or PNEs, are nuclear explosions that are not used for military reasons like building a canal or making the economy grow. Both the United States and the Soviet Union conducted PNEs in the 1960s and 1970s. The US made plans for a number of different uses. 6 of the blasts in the Soviet Union were used, not just tests. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty of 1996 would ban all nuclear explosions, even if they were done for peaceful reasons. The Peaceful Nuclear Explosions Treaty of 1976 sets definitions and bounds. Findings from atomic theory at the beginning of the 20th century changed the field of physics in a big way. While Hans Geiger, Ernest Marsden, and Ernest Rutherford were studying atoms, they found pitchblende, which is a rock of uranium that contains radium. In 1934 and 1939, scientists found a way to make stable elements radioactive by blasting them with alpha particles. This led to the creation of the electron microscope, the linear accelerator, the cyclotron, the nuclear chain reaction, and the patented nuclear reactor. There are 2 main types of uranium found in nature, uranium-238 and uranium-235. Uranium-235's core goes through nuclear fission when it takes in a neutron. This process releases energy in about 2.5 neutrons on average. The war began in September 1939, and by that time, many experts knew that nuclear fission could be used as a weapon. You have reached the end of the video. What do you think? Don't forget to let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.